Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
So
Yes, sir.
should I start?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is Dr. Sachin Sharma, working as assistant professor at IR Institute of Advanced Research, Gandhinagar, and I am also working as a mentor at Startup Gujarat, as well as a mentor of change at Atal Tinkering Labs, that is comes under Niti Aayog. So now, before I jump into the topic, I will let I will I want to show a slide. The reason being, I'm also a mentor. So many a times student comes to me and they're asking for projects, sir, give me the title of the project and everything, or even the title that they give show to me. Those topics are like very irrelevant. So now if you see, the society itself is facing so many challenges, so you don't need to go anywhere else. Like you can see the COVID-19, the society what we all are witnessing. So the problem statement can be anything the society is facing. So one part is completed. Once you get the title, what next you have to do? Getting a title is okay, but then how to solve it? So using proper education, getting the proper education, right mentees, right professors, teachers, and after getting the proper education, still you need a research based innovation, so that the problem that society is facing can be solved. And of course, after, like, if you are doing some innovative ideas or building some prototype or product, you can show, you can make a model, and then you can have a product and you can sell, you can make out of money of that, obviously, and you are solving and you are serving the nation also as well as society. So, and this is the aim of our, like, president sir also. So now I will directly jump. These are some of the topics that I will be discussing today. uh, like, what is the need of early testing, uh, and then why x-rays are not reliable for COVID-19, because every now and then I'm hearing about, like, x-rays there are many research going on, even some of them are claiming that using x-rays we can detect COVID-19 early. And I feel I will discuss on that. And what is CT scan, are there any advantages of CT scan? And next I will discuss something, CT findings of COVID-19 patients. And there are certain patterns also in CT scan image of COVID-19 positive patients. So if there are certain pattern, how AI or machine learning can be used, what is AI machine learning, types of learning I will discuss. And then again, the solution, the proposed solution, how AI and chest CT scan images can be used, that I will discuss. Then once the model gets trained, how can you say that the model is trained properly? So there are certain parameters for validating the performance of a classifier, so I will touch on that. And then the results, the experiments that I did, I will show those results. I made a proof of concept, a video, and then a chatbot also, wherein the user needs to upload a CT scan image, and the chatbot will answer or will give the prediction in terms of percentage. And then I will show a use case also. There are 2 to 3 use cases, but I will show only one use case that was very interesting. And then, of course, when we have AI based model, what are its value proposition, what are its advantages? And then I will compare the most used PCR technique with our CT scan AI based model. And then I will discuss something related to COVID-19 assessment algorithm, what should be done. Obviously, when you are using AI based model, there are certain challenges, the needs are there. Apart from that, there are certain exciting opportunities also that AI offers. So after that, I will finally conclude. And let's go to the next topic. Okay. uh, as we all are witnessing what this novel coronavirus can do to the mankind, it presents some unique features also. uh, just on the screen, if you see, these figures, these are like the what they suggest actually. If you see, in US, the death from this newly coronavirus, it has crossed almost 62,000, whereas the worldwide death has crossed 241,000. And these are the data that have been collected by John Hopkins University, and it was on 5th May. So if we see today, it have definitely crossed these figures. uh, obviously we do not have any specific vaccine, though some countries are claiming that they have made some vaccine. Still uh, we don't have any proof that the vaccine is there. So if we don't have any specific vaccine for COVID-19, what should be done? So in that condition, it is necessary to detect the disease at a very early stage so that we can isolate the infected patient. Now if you just go through some articles, India per day, the testing, if you see the testing in a day, per day it comes around to 28,000, 29,000. That is the figure that I was going through in some of the articles. And in US they are doing almost like 1 lakh tests per day. And right now if you just see, by 2018 the population of India was almost like 135 crore, and the population of US is 32 or 35 crores, round about that. So we need more testing. And what we are doing is, because of the shortage of the kits or whatever it may be, we are not able to test the patients who are showing some basic symptoms. So if we are not testing, um, then there are obviously so many issues that if we don't test early, we are not testing at all. So the patients who are COVID, they will infect others also, so it will spread very fast. And this is the reason I think we need some more testing, diagnostic, some other means also is needed. So currently the diagnosis of COVID-19 is done using PCR technique. Everybody knows what is PCR, so I'm not touching on those. What is PCR technique? uh, Apart from that, every now and then we are hearing that X number of patients are COVID positive, Y number of patients are COVID negative. One question that comes to my mind is whether this data is reliable. uh, because there are cases where PCR has given false indications also. Even the newly rapid antibody test, the government, the ICMR has told to stop using those kits because it was showing or it was giving some faulty wrong indications. So what should be the solution? Should we stop testing? That is not the correct solution. I feel we are in need of a system which is accurate. Obviously, no system can be 100% accurate, but still we are need of a tool or system which is accurate, doesn't take much time for diagnosis, doesn't require collecting samples, and doesn't require much expertise. As you all aware that PCR, to collect the data and then test everything, it's like specified labs are there. So even you require quite a good expertise you need for those thing. This is the need of correct diagnosis. This is a very interesting scenarios there. I will discuss on this on the latest part. And now coming directly to the X-rays, why X-rays are not reliable as per the certain records are there, certain researches have already been done. Uh, Obviously, if a patient is showing some respiratory complaints, the first step is like chest X-ray is the most commonly thing. But the problem with chest X-ray is that in the early stages means even like not up to 2 days. I'm talking about up to 3 to 5 days. The X-rays readings, they are very normal and they resemble a normal pneumonia. um, and the doctors are not confident that the diagnosis of COVID should be done on the basis of chest X-ray alone. As well as there is a very interesting case, out of like 189% of 493 COVID patients, they had normal or only mildly abnormal X-ray scans. I'm going through so many articles, so many hackathons also, and they're telling, sir, we have done an X-ray, AI-based X-ray technique for diagnosis of COVID-19. Believe me, guys, this won't work because X-rays will be useful, or they show symptoms of COVID-19, but then they show the symptoms only after like 6th or 7th day, and that day, if you see, the infection is like entire body is infected, entire lungs are infected. So if you see, the right side is the X-ray images, right? That is a COVID-19 patient confirmed X-ray image. So if you see, the entire lungs are like almost infected. Now I will move directly to what is CT scan. Okay, also referred to as CAT scan. It is basically a computed tomography scan of the chest. which uses X-rays to create 3D images of the chest. And compared to X-rays, chest CT is more effective. And because it can detect very small nodules in the lung, uh, even like for the initial stages, the doctors recommend for diagnosing lung cancer, they recommend CT scan. And there are many reasons, and there are certain issues like many of us think that CT scan is painful. uh, CT scanning is fast, it's painless actually, and non-invasive, and almost it's quite accurate also. And the entire process, the entire actual CT scanning takes less than 30 seconds, the scanning part. And while preparing the patient, exam preparation and everything, it completes within 30 minutes. So CT scan is, because the advantages of CT scan are much more than the disadvantages actually. So if you see, uh, why doctors recommend CT, the reasons are obvious, because these kind of disorders, lung disorders, can be seen using chest CT scan. uh, I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't explain all of them, but I will discuss some of them. And if you can see, the right side, the top one is like patient undergoing a machine, that is a CT scan machine. And downside, if you see, there is a CT scan image of a patient who was confirmed COVID-19. I will discuss how to differentiate also, like if you have a CT scan image with you, whether like some of the symptoms I can help you in checking. Now, these are certain important terms. Obviously, the respiratory physician, as well as the radiologist, they all know all these terms. But still, we should be aware of these terms, because these are very important terms when if you're thinking of CT scan for like COVID-19 patient. So first is like consolidation. It refers to the filling of pulmonary air spaces with fluid or other products of inflammation. Uh, so instead of that air, you have something fluid uh, or products of inflammation. So that is known as consolidation. Pleural effusions, obviously that abnormal fluid which develops in the spaces around the lungs, that is known as pleural effusion. And the third one is multifocal ground glass opacity, in short GGO. Uh, this is very important term actually. So, and this was the one of the symptoms where which was seen on almost all the COVID-19 patient CT scan images. So a pattern, this is basically a pattern that can be seen when the lungs are sick. So when the lungs are weak, sick, you will see this hazy appearance of the lungs actually. And the normal lung CT scans, they normally appear black. Whereas like abnormal chest CT, they will show that GGOs will show lighter color or gray patches. Now I will come directly to this. This is very interesting case. This is very interesting findings actually. Uh, Study was there in which chest CTs of symptomatic patients infected with coronavirus disease from 4 centers of China actually, from January 18 to February 20 2nd February 2020, they were reviewed. The important thing or the interesting part was that the patients, they were showing some symptoms and they were admitted to the hospital. And their CT scan was also done actually. So like up to 0 to 2 days, the 36 patients were there. And then intermediate between like 3 to 5 days, 33 patients were there. And late, basically like from 6 to 12 days, 25 patients were there. So, so what the hallmarks of this study came actually with CT scan images, that infection of COVID-19 infection was basically the symptoms were bilateral and peripheral ground glass and consolidative pulmonary opacities were there. So, like if you are a machine learning engineer or a computer vision engineer, this is very interesting for us, because if certain patterns are there, certain things are there that we can see, that we can analyze, we can obviously train our system for this. I hope I'm clear. Okay. Shall I
Hello.
move to the next? Hello.
Yeah, sir. I request one thing. Those who are using these pen marks on the screen, please don't use it. We are not able to concentrate.
Okay.
And
Requesting everyone to please don't use any pen mark or something on the screen.
you can
सचिन जी उसको
disable pen
आप
mark.
स्लाइड ओपन करिए, वापस ओपन करिए तो ये सब चला जाएगा। सचिन सर,
Yes, sir.
हाँ अब उसको वापस वो करिए तो शायद ये सब चला जाए। हाँ शायद जा नहीं रहा, आई डोंट नो क्या प्रॉब्लम है। ओके चलो कंटिन्यू करिए।
Anyways, please start, sir.
Requesting,
Please start.
yeah, I'm requesting the participants
डिसेबल कर
to
दो।
please. Okay.
Please start.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So, see, requesting the participants, they are using something markers on this. Don't use because they are not able to see actually, right? Okay. So I will show some of the images. Like if you can see in figure 1A, this is like Excel CT scan image of a patient of 36-year-old male. And if you shoot the arrows, those are like bilateral ground glass opacities that were there in the upper lobes. I will show the normal CT scan image also, normal how it looks. And this is that one symptom that was being shown. This pattern was seen in one of the patients. If you see figure 1B, there are again some patterns shown by arrows. Those are like larger ground glass opacities in the bilateral lower lobes with a rounded morphology. So this is something that was very interesting actually. That was CT scan machine was able to see this kind of things. Now, if you see in figure 1C, again, a rounded morphology and a bilateral ground glass opacity was seen with a striking peripheral distribution in the 65-year-old female. And if I come directly to the figure 3, if you see, after like the patient was admitted and after like 10 days, if you see entire lungs, it's not normal actually. The entire lungs are infected. So if you see the symptoms, it is like bilateral consolidative opacities with a striking peripheral distribution in the right lower lobe with a rounded morphology was seen. So you can see a dashed arrow there, right? And in figure 2, in one side of the lungs, right, there was like a ground glass opacity with rounded morphology was there. So there are some patterns. The main outcome of this are there are certain patterns that can be seen in the CT scan image. And obviously after 10 days of infection, the entire lungs will be those are infected. So if you can see, this is one segmented CT Excel slice that I am showing to you. If you can see the left one, that is a COVID-19 positive patient, and then the green, if you can see, those are the pleural effusion, and the blue one, those are like in blue, that is a ground glass opacity, and in yellow you can see that is a consolidation in yellow. So, and if you on the right side, if you see, that is normal CT scan. Most of the that lung partner, those are black actually, so it won't be any gray scale or it won't be white. So this is how you normally distinguish. Those patterns won't be seen in the CT scan image of a normal patient. So if there are certain patterns in CT scan image, so this was very one more interesting study, which a respiratory physician John Wilson, and he's very well known person actually. While I was going through online everything, he showed some interesting case that a CT scan image of a man with COVID-19, and what he, as per him, the coronavirus does not, the pneumonia caused by a coronavirus, it doesn't infect only small parts of the lungs. It damages entire parts of the lungs, starts with outer edges of the lungs, and there are distinctive hazy patch on the outer edges of the lungs. So if you see, there like yellow markings are there, yellow arrows are there, so those are like distinctive hazy patches are there. And on the top you can see for COVID-19 lung CT scans are shown with their colored maps are being shown. So if you are image processing engineer, this is a very good study actually. This is the role of image processing engineers. You can easily segment, you can clearly show. And down, if you see, this is a 3D reconstructed chest CT scan image. Obviously, if you see the arrowheads, they are showing at the outer edges of the lungs, some hazy, that patch is there. So we can say there are certain patches, certain hazy patterns are there actually that can be used for training the AI based model. Now, before I discuss directly how AI can be used, uh, I would like to discuss something related to AI. Everyone knows AI, what is AI, but then still students who are not aware of that, I should discuss about AI. Any technique, AI stands for basically artificial intelligence, any technique which enables computers to mimic human behavior. So at the top, AI comes, and the subset of AI, you can say machine learning, and the subset of machine learning, you can say deep learning. Um, or in short, I can say, if the data size is much more and the patterns are very complex, you should go for deep learning. And if the data size is small and the patterns, they're not that much complex, you should go for machine learning algorithms. So that is the basic difference between machine learning and deep learning. Obviously, there are other differences also, but these are some of the differences that you should be knowing. And these are some of the important terms. Obviously, machine learning is something, the model tries to find some hidden insights in the data without being explicitly programmed, and to predict how finally the output will look like. And neural network, it's a kind of machine learning only, but inspired the working of the human brain. And deep learning is entirely based on neural networks, right? And computer vision, again same term, but normally it is used when the input is a picture or a video and you want to analyze the images, the videos in real time, so you will be using computer vision. Almost all the terms are more or less similar only, with certain differences are there. Now, as we are saying, this is machine learning, deep learning, but then there are different types of learning also. And if you just Google, you will see there are like, they will say 14 types of learning, but basically there are 3 types of learning. One is like a supervised learning, second is unsupervised learning, third is reinforcement learning. Now, supervised learning is very simple. Let's say we have a basket of fruits, and in that basket you have like orange is there, apple is there, and banana is there. So the input is this images. Input is this basket, this images that we are showing to the machine. And apart from that, you are telling the machine that you are labeling also. You are giving the labels also. That if you see some yellow, some wheat, that is banana. If you see a round shape or something shape and color is red, you can say it is an apple. So you are giving, you are training the machine, and you are giving labels also. So once the model is trained, when the machine is trained, you are showing some images, obviously of fruits or non-fruits, and you are asking the trained model to classify, to detect. So obviously it will show some, because if it is properly trained, it will show some boxes with names of it, like this is banana, this is apple. So so it is something like a teacher is supervising you, right? So that is a supervised learning. Unsupervised learning is very complex actually. You don't provide any labels to the machine. Like for this I would explain, I will give one example. Let's see, uh, you have an image in which you have one dog is there, one cat is there, or like a group of dogs are there, group of cats are there. So you're not labeling anything, but the machine itself sees some patterns. And for machine it is very easy, like for seeing the pattern is like dogs, it can be easily seen. You can clearly distinguish between dogs and cats actually. So it will identify a pattern itself from the data that is being given. And basically it will cluster, it will divide the data into 2 parts or 3 parts, whatever the categories are there. and nothing is labeled actually, and it will not actually don't predict also. It will just segregate. That is the output of unsupervised learning. So clustering is one of the unsupervised learning. Reinforcement learning is something which is now everywhere. It is being used almost everywhere. If you see, it is something a video game actually. The agent learns from his experiences. So if he is doing well, he will get bonus. He will get some positive points. If he's doing, if he's not able to predict or is giving some wrong predictions, it will minus. So those things are like reinforcement learning. So it will learn from its mistakes. So that is a reinforcement learning. So I think now the students will be little clear about like what is AI, what is machine learning, and the types of learning. I can directly jump to how AI can be used for detecting COVID-19 case. So this is the typical, if you see, this is in the figure 1, if you see, this is the block diagram of the system. The first step is basically you are collecting the CT scan image of COVID-19 positive case patient as well as the normal healthy persons. And then because the images are not that clear, so and when the images that we are collecting, they are like from different cities, city tools that are being collected. Even the gray level intensity is not that clear. So what we need to do is we have to pre-process the images. To enhance the images, we have to do some pre-processing techniques. Obviously, if there are some noisy, some blurriness, that also we have to improve, that we have to correct. And then once the images are like okay, that is enhanced, we make a separate folder for both positive as well as normal cases. And then we apply some machine learning algorithms for training machine learning or as well as deep learning. I will discuss both. Machine learning as well as deep learning algorithms for training the system. And then finally, we test the trained model on those images which the system has never seen before. So if we are getting the desired accuracy, that's perfect. But if we are not getting the desired accuracy, we will improve the model with certain changes. We'll tune our model. And once the testing is done, we will finally deploy it. So it can be used as a mobile based app or a web based app that can be used. Even a chatbot can be done. So if figure 2, you can see there is like positive samples are there. So that is like positive COVID-19 patient images are there. And B, if you can see, those are like normal or negative sample images are there. So how ML or machine learning based works in this kind of things. If you see, these are like, it's a zoomed image actually of the CT scan images. One is the non-infected patch region and second is the infected patch region. So what I'm doing is I'm cropping the part that I'm interested. I'm cropping that one, and infected as well as non-infected patch. So let's say the infected patch is 32 by 32 and same as non-infected is 32 by 32, and then I am moving directly to a feature descriptor. Now if you see, this is the ML based approach. You are giving the input image and then I'm applying image descriptor, GL, CM, DWT. These are like gray level co-occurrence matrix and discrete wavelet transform. I will explain and what is feature vector. Then after the feature vector, we are using some SVM, that stands for support vector machine. And finally, the classification, what is the output, whether it is COVID positive or COVID negative. So for explaining this, let's say you have an image and you want to detect the image, how many faces are there, how many human faces are there in that image. So what happens, you will have like 2 to 3 persons are there, their faces are their image, and apart from that there will be some other images also, other things also will be there in the image. Let's say you have like a fan will be there, a chair is there, and backgrounds, some backgrounds are there, right? Now we know with our intelligence that how many humans are there, but then how machine knows, how machine can predict. But then so this is the first part, the input image. So we are giving this image as an input to the algorithm, and then what happens basically, there's something called feature descriptor. Feature descriptor, what it does, the machine doesn't know anything. What it sees is it wants to see some pattern in the input image. So if you see in the face, there are certain what constitutes a face. Basically, if you see a face is like almost, it is you the nose, the lips, the forehead, the height and the size of the face, eyes. So those are the facial features that you can see. These are the features actually that constitute a face. So there's certain pattern is there. So what it will do, it will see these features, and but the problem is the machine learning algorithm, it doesn't understand anything. It doesn't understand by name. What it understands is basically numbers. Everything is in numbers. So input image itself is basically made of pixels, and if you see it at the back, it is basically an array. So it is basically numbers. So this GLCM or DWT, those are like, they are feature extractors. So what they will do is they will see these patterns. As for example, I was talking about face recognition or face detection. So this width, like one parameter can be width, the ratio of height and width of the face. Second parameter can be the face color, basically the RGB intensity. Third parameter can be something like the width of lips. Fourth parameter can be height of this nose. So those things, those features will be extracted, and that will be converted into a number in a sequence order. So those things will be there in a feature vector. So those will be numbers only. And like suppose in the image, if you have two images are there and a common person is there, so you have a feature vector of that image as well as this image. So if a common person is appearing in both the images, the feature vector will be very small, or will be almost similar, right? Or the distance, you can say, it will be very minimal. So this way we can predict that this in the same in two different images, same person is appearing. So that is the role of actually this feature vector. This feature vector is basically a number vector. It will be only in numbers actually. And this GLCM and DWT, what it does basically, it is a gray level co-occurrence matrix. It adjusts, it extracts the basically gray level intensity. Texture extraction is there. Discrete wavelet transform, what it does is basically a spatial features that are being extracted by it. So once all these things are being given to SVM, what SVM does, I will show next slide the working of SVM, because it's a very interesting thing and it's being used almost everywhere. So students should understand what is SVM. It is basically a support vector machine. Now if you see the feature vectors, they will be mapped and they will plotted as a point in a n-dimensional space. So in the back, if you see the last diagram, up to the feature vector, we have a number of points are there, number of data points are there. So we will plot each data item as a point in n-dimensional space, with the value of each feature being the value of a particular coordinate. For example, we can say that in the image x-axis and y-axis, if you see, there are green circles as well as red circles. You can say the red circles are like COVID positive and green are the negative or the normal samples. So we want to, we can clearly see, and but how machine understands. So we have to perform a classification by finding an optimal hyperplane that can easily differentiate between the two classes. So let me explain with this example. If you see in the graph, this is a scatter plot. In the x-axis you have a height, in the y-axis there is like hair length is there, and you have a population, let's say composed of 50 males and females, and you want to build a robot which can identify whether a person is male or a female, right? So if I say let's say if I say 145 as a coordinate I'm selling, 145 comma 25. So 145 is the height and 25 is basic the length. So I am talking about what? The height is very small, but the hair length is more. So normally we have a tendency like the girls, obviously they have a long hair. Yeah, so what we say, it will be a female, right? So this coordinate is a support vector. This is a basically a support vector, right? And next what we have to do is the machine has to classify if a new point comes, if a new coordinate comes, let's say 175 comma 83, so whether it will be male or female. So that kind of predictions are to be done using SVM techniques. So if you see, but then how to draw proper hyperplane? Which hyperplane? The lines that are that are shown here, those are like hyperplanes. So if you see, there are three hyperplanes that has been shown: red, orange, as well as black is there, right? So, but which hyperplane should be optimal or the right hyperplane, right? So if you see from that point A is there, and there is like orange line, one hyperplane is shown. The distance of the point A from that line is like 2 units, as well as if you see the red line and point B is there. So the distance, the margin, you can say that distance is 1 unit. But in the center there is a black line. If you see the distance of that black line from point A or point B, it is maximum. It is maximum means it is 15 units. So the black one is the proper or the correct hyperplane that can easily distinguish between the two classes. So you can easily again I will say this green one are like the circle, the squares. Those are like girl, female, and this circle are basically in our example the circles are basically male. Sorry, the blue one shows because the hair length is more. The blue one shows the female, and the square one those shows males, right? Now I will explain some good scenarios. Like these are some scenarios how SVM will decide which hyperplane should be used to distinguish between the two classes. If you can see in scenario one, let's say the red one are like COVID-19 positive, and the stars or those are like COVID negative. So here there are three hyperplanes, like A is there, C is there, and B is there. But then if you see, B is the correct hyperplane because it is easily, it can distinguish or it can segregate both the classes. In scenario 2, if you see same, there are three hyperplanes are there, B, C, A. But C, it can, because the distance of C is more compared to B and A. So that margin, that is, distance is called basically a margin. So that will be the correct hyperplane. Now, in scenario three, if you see, this is very interesting. Many of you will be saying, sir, B is the proper hyperplane because the distance is more. If you see that margin compared to A or B, the distance of B is more. But the problem with B is there, it has wrongly identified or predicted one. If you see blue star is there actually. So if we are choosing B as a hyperplane, what it will do is it will wrongly detect, it will wrongly classify one of the patients as COVID positive while it was not a COVID positive. So A is the correct hyperplane in that case because it is clearly distinguishing both the classes. So the priority should be given, first priority should be given to how to distinguish both the classes, and second priority should be the margin. I'm not discussing this. These are some of the interesting cases. In the interest of time, I'm not discussing all this thing. These are some of the interesting cases, and students can go through some websites and go through this SVM. It is very useful for classifying. And basically, SVM is a supervised machine learning classifier, right? Now coming to this DL based approach, deep learning based approach, same like we are showing positive images, COVID positive images, COVID negative images, and then we are applying some pre-processing techniques. And then there is something like layers are there in concept, and I can discuss in detail, but I think there are certain more important things I should discuss. But I will say in a brief what the feature extractions and the feature vectors in machine learning does. Same thing is being done here. So for feature extraction, what we are doing is like we have a combination of convolution. I will explain what is convolution, and then there is something ReLU activation, and then there is something kind of pooling. If the images are large in size, how to reduce that. And once all these functions, all these things are being done, you will have a feature vector that will be converted into fully connected layer. It will be flattened actually, and then there will be classification using sigmoid, and some activation functions are there. And if you want to go into detail, I have mentioned a website here. You can go through this website and learn something more about this, how DL based approach can also be used. CNN stands for convolution neural network. There are certain popular CNN architectures are also there. Something like AlexNet is there, GoogleNet is there, and RESTnet is also there. RESTnet 50 is also there. The 50 means how deep that layer is there, how deep that architecture is there. So CNN, if you see, I cropped one image, one part of the image, and let's say it's a 5 by 5 cross image.
Matrix.
Yeah, matrix whose image pixel values are 0, 1, and the filter matrix is 3 by 3. Right. So it is something like a sliding. You slide the filter and then you multiply and add. So right side, if you see, that is a like convolution operation is there, and you get a convolute feature. It's 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3. Those are the values actually. So this is like CNN. Sir, are these filter metrics like predefined? Yes. So I will show you some of the filters. Like this is if you want to do identity function. Identity function means whatever the input you are giving, and same thing you want to get as an output. So this is like filter this identity operation, convolved image. For if you want to have some edge detection techniques, so
So repeat
filters.
it.
I request the participants to please mute yourself. Yeah. So next is a image sharpening. So these are the filters. There's the metrics are already being defined. And these are sometimes I will run through these slides because the reason is we can obviously have another session related to AI, how AI can be used. But in the interest of time, I will run through these slides. These are some of the techniques actually for introducing nonlinearity also. Finally, this is the complete CNN architecture, and initially the image, the input data we are giving, and then this feature maps will be there, almost all the layers, and then finally it will be a fully connected layer, and then at the output will be softmax will be there, or some sigmoid to classify the outputs. So once the model is trained, these are some of the important parameters that we should understand. Once the model gets trained, these are the parameters which tells us how good the model is being trained, right? I will define all of them. So these are the parameters for validating the performance of a classifier. If you see, first one is known as the sensitivity, or it is also known as a true positive rate. It is basically the ratio of true positive divided by true positive plus false negative. I will discuss what is true positive, true negative, false positive, false negative. Sensitivity is also known as a recall actually. And then specificity, this is the ratio of true negative divided by true negative plus false positive. Next parameter, if you can see, this is accuracy. So it is basically the ratio of true positive and true plus true negative divided by all the parameters, true positive, true negative, false negative. Next one is the precision. I will explain the difference between accuracy and precision because there is confusion between. Many of them say, sir, accuracy is same as precision, but I will discuss. And then there is like F score. So if you want to have a higher recall as well as precision, so F score is also a parameter is there. Okay, let me discuss how accuracy is different from precision. Accuracy is basically how close a value is to its true value. For example, if you're like, everybody knows what is bullseye. So how close an arrow gets to the bullseye center, that is basically an accuracy. Now precision would be how repeatable a measurement is. Basically, an example, you can say a second arrow, how close the second arrow is to the first one, regardless of whether either it is near the mark or it is not near the mark, right? So I will discuss directly the results that were the experiments that I conducted. I did. This is like the true positive case. If you see in the image, this is the image which is COVID-19 positive. So once I give this image to the model trained, it will show me the results in terms of percentage. If you see the right side, this is like CT scan positive, the percentage is 99, and CT scan negative, it is like 0.9%. So which can say that the model is behaving properly, it's showing correctly trained model. So this is the true positive case. The patient is positive and the model is also showing it is positive. And next, if you see the image, this is the image of a patient who is normal. So if you, I'm uploading this image to my model software, model this one, and then it is showing the CT scan COVID negative is 99.4%, which shows that it is correctly trained. So this is the true negative case where patient is negative or normal, and model is also showing the same thing. And these are like false positive and false negative case. If you see the model, it's showing if the patient is normal, but the trained model is showing that it is positive. So that is giving a false indication. And when the patient is COVID positive and the model says it's not positive, it is negative. So that is false negative case, and it's giving wrong indications, predictions. And this is a very confusing case. Like if you see now, we can say that it is a COVID positive patient only because the hazy patch is there. But if we this is like while I was doing the training, while the model was trained in my system, I gave this image and it was showing, it was taking so much time actually for giving me the result. The reason being because it was somewhat confused in which category it should come, whether it is COVID positive or COVID negative. So and the percentage varies accordingly. So if you see the CT scan positive, it is showing 70.1%. The CT scan negative, it is showing 29.8%. Though it detected correctly. And now directly to the specifics of this project. Let me show you a working prototype and the chatbot that I used. Let me share this. I hope everyone can see me. Can you see this screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So before this, I would like to show one more. This one. This is a very interesting, actually 3D scan. Actually, this is 3D CT scan of a COVID-19 patient.
Going through the bones melting away, and then kind of taking you around the chest on the outside. Anything in yellow that you're seeing is COVID infected, destroyed lung tissue. What struck me, almost right away, and for somebody, especially for someone who's been in practice for almost 20 years, is just kind of the extent of the lung damage. So, in the past, this has been compared to, your garden variety pneumonia. It's been compared to the seasonal flu. And one of the things we need to get across, and we try harder and harder every day, is that this is nothing like the seasonal flu. This is not like your typical pneumonia. A typical, let's say, bacterial pneumonia would typically affect, one part of the lung, perhaps, one lobe of the lung. And again, as you can see in the video, it not only affects both lungs, but affects various parts of each lung. So it's pretty diffuse damage. And the other thing, the caveat in all of this too, is that the images that you were looking at, the video that you're looking at, is based on the CAT scan that was performed before he got so sick that he had to be intubated and placed on the ventilator. So if you were to repeat that CAT scan perhaps 48 hours later, chances are you're going to be seeing much more yellow than you actually are, that things would be even worse. About halfway through the video, we do what's called a virtual bronchoscopy, where now you kind of get the bird's eye view and you start going into the trachea, into the major airway, and then you go down into the right lung. And now that you're actually inside the right lung, you're kind of seeing some of those yellow areas, up close and personal. This was a 59-year-old gentleman who did not have, you hear a lot about, this only affects elderly patients, or somebody who's got lots of other medical problems, or is immunosuppressed. And the more and more we learn about, our experience here in the U.S., the more we know that that's not true. We know that, the elderly, immunosuppressed, patients with a lot of medical problems are more severely affected, but the disease is not limited to them.
So this was the 3D CT scan image, and then I will directly show you the chatbot that is been designed by me. I will show you one demo of that. let's say we give some input. Let's say I want to okay, let's say I'm typing start prediction, so it will ask you some basic informations. So once these basic informations are there, it will ask to, like these three dots are there, it will ask to upload an image. Let's say I'm uploading one image from my drive. So if you see, this was the image that was uploaded, and this is normal patient. It gave me some, but in terms of percentage, it's giving that this is a normal COVID negative. Let's say I'm using again some one more file. So this was like some infected COVID patient was there. So it is giving me some percentage, 84.3 something, that is CT scan positive. So this is how a chatbot was being designed by me just for demo purpose, and this is like proof of concept actually. If you can see here, let me play for this. I think the images are not, videos not clear. So this is that proof of concept, that model that was designed, that was trained and tested actually. Okay, so let me go back to the PT. Okay, so this is like a one use case that I will discuss with you, and this is like one of my friends. He's a doctor, and he was like, his patient was there. He was having some traveling history also, and his age was like 89 years. The hospital is basically in Ahmedabad only, and uh, while doing this HRCT, that stands for high resolution CT scan. That's one. And then the findings, actually their CT findings were there. There's some patchy ground glass opacification was there. So some one of the symptoms of COVID-19 positive case patient was seen here actually in this case. So while I was discussing with him about this, the model that I have tried, I have made. So I told him to send me some images, and then he sent me the images actually. So right side you can see the images, and then he told me to test whether they should go for this PCR or no. So if you see the results in our case, in the model that I trained, it was showing almost something like 97% COVID negative, and almost 2% was showing as positive. So I shared the results with him, and I told not to take a chance and do a PCR. So finally they went for the PCR, and it was again negative. So this shows that if we, with less images, the system is predicting well. With more images, with quality more images, it can predict, it can give good results. obviously these are the value propositions. Like anything AI based model, if it advantage is, if any technology is there, if it helps doctors, it has it should be used, it can be used in the market also. Obviously this beneficiaries, this kind of technologies, doctors, hospitals can use this kind of technology. And obviously the diagnosis currently is done using PCR. So some of the unique features if we use AI based approaches, that faster results. When I say faster results, means entire scanning process and everything that takes almost 30 minutes. So once the images are ready, the prediction will not take even a minute actually. And with less images currently it's giving good accuracy. And one more thing I would like to share, one thing is that CT scan images or AI based CT scan model is more sensitive compared to PCR actually. So I will share those cases also. uh, Not much training is needed obviously after like getting the CT scan images. Not much training is needed for running the, because the model is already trained. It can be used anywhere from any mobile app or web-based app can be done. Early detection, obviously, because the average time a PCR takes is almost like some studies says it is more than an hour, some says it is like 45 minutes. So it is more than actually what a CT scan takes actually. So if we have early detection, we can keep the track of spread of disease. So next is the important comparison. This I will discuss both the advantages as well as the disadvantages. Even though we are using PCR, why we are not going with CT scan based and AI based approach for diagnosis of COVID-19? I will discuss. So obviously the time for diagnosis and result based on CT scan and AI, it is very less because there is nothing like sample collection. The CT scan images are there, but the sample collection, shipping or transportation issues are not there. PCR, someone says there's a rapid test cases there which takes 45 minutes, but then again they're like the data where I have collected takes almost like 1.5 to 2 hours. Expertise in our case, basically a CT scan image, expertise is not much needed. Basically a technician who or doctor, basically not that much expertise in the sense, obviously the CT scan images are needed, but then thereafter no much technical expertise is needed. Well, in PCR, right from the collecting the samples to testing, everything is like specialized doctors are needed. Flexibility, obviously with CT scan and AI based model, it can be used from anywhere. It just needs a CT scan image. And for PCR, specified labs and where test needs to be done. Accuracy, this is a very big issue actually with PCR. Even though we don't have the accuracy is not very good, but then we don't have any other options. So there are some false indications have been recorded. Sensitivity is basically a true positive rate. Compared to CT scan and AI, PCR is less sensitive. When I'm telling it's less sensitive, because there are some cases where the patient was positive, but the PCR said it is normal. So if that patient goes to home or work or wherever he goes, he will infect some other patients also. So this is a very important parameter, and this is very important thing that we should think of, like why we are thinking only of PCR techniques. Uh, and obviously the variation in sensitivity is also noted in PCR. So I have mentioned citation also I have given here, so you can again refer those things. The system based on CT scan and AI, that is not sensitive. The revision is a gold standard. The machines are same, right? Now these are some of the advantages I was discussing about CT scan and AI. But then what are the disadvantages? The biggest disadvantage of CT scan machine itself is like the cost is too much. A normal CT scan machine, it costs around 1 crore, and the portable CT scanners, if you think, that comes around 75 lakh. And the data I was going through in India, roughly there are 3,000 CT scan machines are there right now. And if you see the population of India, it's like 135 crore. So how CT scan machine will, like, there is no chance that, so that the cost is a very big issue actually in using CT scan and AI. But then I believe if the PCR is giving negative indications or something, or if see normally what happens now, even in China, if you see, they have declared or they have said that the first diagnostic tool, if the patient is showing or complaining about some symptoms of breathing, loss of breathing or something, they are using CT scan and AI actually for prediction. So they're using as a diagnostic, they're referring this CT scan machine as well as AI. Whereas even in Italy, if you see when the patient is showing some symptoms, what happens basically, the hospital tests they test for PCR, but the time for getting the results after PCR, it takes time actually. So meanwhile, what they do is they recommend actually CT scan also. So because the CT scan results are like within 30 minutes, 31 minutes, you get the results. So you have one tool which is giving you one result, and after the PCR results are also coming, they combine both the results and then they agree what to do. If both the tools or both the techniques are showing the same results, that's fine. But then if there is something both are like one is not showing and other is showing, that is a separate case that the doctor needs to whether to go with PCR or with CT scan. But then they are using CT scan and AI. This is something like COVID-19 assessment algorithm, because there is something like influenza PCR is also there, and the symptoms is almost same as like PCR, that COVID, this one. So this is one assessment algorithm I collected. If you go see the link I have shared, if the patient presents some fever, cough, and shortness of breath, the first thing should be you give standard mask to patient, instruct them to wear at all the times, obtain influenza PCR preferably, and then if the flu PCR comes positive, so that is not a COVID-19 patient, you normal workup, and it is recommended to isolate the patient as clinically indicated. But if the flu PCR comes negative, so what you have to do is you have to obtain the CT scan, chest CT scan, and then if the chest CT scan are showing some ground glass opacities and all those things, the features that a COVID-19 patient shows, then directly call a physician or go for PCR testing kit. If the chest findings are not showing those symptoms, you just go for normal workup, and isolation is clinically indicated. So this is like how COVID-19 assessment algorithm should be done actually. This is the same PPT I was talking about. I think in interest of time, this I will wind up this one. It is just telling this, like a company tests 100 employees to see whether it has antibodies against the coronavirus and can return to the office. So even if like 2 to 3% patients are truly there are true positive, but then if the test that we are doing, if they are showing that as a true negative, if they are not positive and if they are showing a negative case, right? So those patients or those the employees will again infect others. So the point is, right now we are in a condition whether we are not able to say that this test is correct or other tests should be done. But then risk is there when we are exposing people to the virus almost at a time when there are no approved COVID-19 treatments or vaccines are there. So this is like that what this PPT was showing. Obviously, the challenges when you're building an AI based solution for detection all these things. Getting access to good quality chest CT scan images, obviously this is a big issue. Apart from that, the training, the storage resources, that obviously the images are there, heavy images are there, so the GPU is needed. Obviously certifications are there, some clinical trials are there, convincing government to think of CT and AI based solution. So these are some of the challenges that are there. Obviously, coming to opportunities, there are so many opportunities. Like if you see AI and like robotics, it can be used on almost healthcare, everywhere it can be used. If you see the right side, let's say there are 100 patients that are coming with this kind of shortness of breath or fever, and the doctor says recommends for CT scan. So only if one radiologist there, and and 100 patients are there. So what will happen? It will take much time, and the reason being it is basically a matter of someone's life. So the pressure on the doctor itself is very high. So it can happen that he can give a wrong indications also. With machines, once they are trained, it will give the same answers. It won't give anything because of pressure or something. obviously more patients can be seen, and with a shorter time actually. So the role of AI as well as robotics is immense. And so any student who is interested in data science, AI, so this is a very interesting area. They should research, they should learn about all this Python learning, the tools that we are using, OpenCV, MATLAB, those software tools that they're using. These are really helpful. Obviously, I would like to conclude finally. Nothing is more important than saving someone's life. I believe more testing should be done, because if we do more testing, we can easily detect and we can isolate if the patient is COVID positive, we can isolate the patient. And I think a two-way check. I know as a like cost side, if you see, it will be little expensive. I don't know how to manage that thing, but then a two-way check, a PCR as well as CT scan technique is required, or some other technique. If it is not CT scan technique, some other techniques using PCR as well as that technique should be used for correct diagnosis of COVID-19. And these are some of the achievements that was there. Actually received a special mention award in one of the ideathon that was arranged by MHRD AICT, and almost like I received almost 800 teams were there. After 4 rounds came down to 16 teams, and we were amongst it, and then invited as a, because this project I'm in a discussion with one of the hospitals in Delhi, so there also I was invited as a panelist. So let's see how it goes. And basically those were like the award-winning solutions that were invited actually. And then recently I participated in Pan European Hackathon also. Then overall the feedback was good. I'm improving on certain things that were mentioned. So any queries, any suggestions, and any collaborations, if you want to visit our university, that is also welcome. And you have any queries, you can email me. This is my email ID, sachin.sharma@ier.ac.in. Yes. Yes. Any questions or something? Everyone can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can I ask you?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
This fantastic presentation. I think I've been working on AI systems in radiology.
Yes, sir.
So basically, with all your experience, are you able to consolidate what are the features of early COVID in a CT scan,
Yes.
which can be extracted by image extracting procedure? Suppose you
Come
have
again,
some,
sir?
suppose you have
sir.
some CT scan images. Can you show
Yes.
us what are the features?
Sir, basically the patch that we are getting, basically the gray level intensities that we are taking, the rounded morphology, the 3 regions actually I showed, the segmentation techniques are there. So one was the like bilateral, that ground glass opacity was there. So that one was there. Apart from that, there was like pleural infusion was there. So those things, those segmented images are already there actually. So
But then
that
when do they appear? Do they appear?
yeah, I will tell you the initial like almost like in the early stage, like after like 0 to 2 days, those symptoms even a CT scan machine is not able to show. Even the PCR techniques is not that confident. So like after 2 days, you can say in between 3 to 5 days, those symptoms you can see in CT scan images.
Okay, because if we are able to diagnose even if 1 or 2 days before, the
That's what I'm
mortality,
telling. With
mortality will
X-rays,
be reduced.
sure, sure, sir. Yes, the reason is the X-rays, they don't give all those details, but CT scan images, because it's like 3D this one, so they give in 3 to 5 days. Those was the CT scan findings were done. So in like 3 to 5 days, they are showing these symptoms. So with
And
like,
then this chatbot, anybody can upload the image.
yeah, anybody can upload image.
And is it free or it's cost based?
No, it's not free. It's not free. I have an account for that. It's not free.
And it should not
Like
be free.
you can upload the image and you will get the predictions. So that is free. It is not like that you have to do anything else. It's like I'm using for certain days.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah. The user needs to upload an image, CT scan image, and he will get the predictions.
Hello.
Yeah.
This is Parimal.
I just
Yes,
want
sir.
to ask one thing.
Yeah.
You give me the image of the CT, right? CT
Yes.
scan images. So
Yes.
can we use that the only you said that the features of the rounded morphology and the gray patches and all those things. So can we use
Yes.
that grade cam so we directly use the the patches and we can directly combine with this doctor and ask that. So can we
Come
use
again.
can we use it grade cam?
Okay.
Okay, so we just know that where is the grade page and all this thing. Because in the CT image, you only
Yes.
just see that gray patch. And
Yes.
also you already told that in many images there are the gray patch in the
Hmm.
non-COVID and also in COVID. So
Yes.
can we use this grade cam and we just ask the doctor whether it is so we need, in this case we needed some kind of the doctors who we tell this or
Yeah,
who
yeah.
did
See,
this grade
see,
cam.
that's what I'm telling. The thing is, AI will help doctors, right? So what will is there, like you need an advice. That's what I'm telling. When you are doing a clinical trial, right?
Okay.
So you will be in touch with doctors, the radiologists also. So there is something like a ground truth also, right?
Okay.
So that is there.
And
Just
one
a
more thing.
machine says something. Yeah.
Yeah, one more thing. You are using the CNN, right?
Yes.
Also, which model you use for the prediction?
RESTnet. RESTnet actually that model I've used.
ResNet 34, right? Or yeah, ResNet
50.
50. Okay, fine. Hello.
Yeah.
So how many hidden layer you have used for the training of this model?
See RESTnet, let me tell you, I have done both. I have done even the this one, the computer vision, the Azure software, right?
Okay.
If you know the computer vision software, right? So custom vision AI. Hello, some background noise is coming. I'm not able to hear properly.
Yeah,
Hey,
there
we
is
can
some
hear
noise.
you, Dr. Sachin. Yes, you are fine.
Hello. Yeah, 20. The layers are hit 20 layers. The layers you're talking. I don't know. Some noise is coming. Hello.
So was this prediction based on Indian patients or
This
Western patients?
this images, most of the images were taken from Italy hospital, so they have that they have kept very open the data. So I will share those links also. Just email me, I will share the details also. It is like
Then
they
you
have,
don't have any data from Indian patients?
I have taken, see that's the biggest big issue actually, right? We don't have much data from the Indian side. We have data from China as well as we have data from Italy. But then I was in contact with some of the official authorities, but then you know the issues, right? So I didn't get much
I think
data.
routinely they are not doing CT scan in India.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm telling. I actually approach even AMC, that I'm the machine commissioner, but then I'm not getting the. That's what actually I'm telling. So I'm in contact with one of the hospitals in Delhi. So most probably I will get some images to try and test our model. But then the models that were trained, basically most of the images were from Italy and China.
Basically, they have a problem of because usually all these hospitals they have 1 or 2 CT scans.
Yes,
They
yes.
are located in some area where you can't get this patient there. Otherwise, the whole hospital will be closed.
I will share one more thing. Even like I was like in touch with one of the management guy in a hospital, and then he said that we know that CT scan images are good, and then some more enhanced. You can see some results with the help of AI. But the problem is that like 30 minutes are there, but then if there are like 10 patients are there, and then they are standing in a line or a queue or wherever, they will infect other patients also. So even if they know the advantages of CT scan machines, they don't want to go for like CT scan. So the hospitals, they themselves are telling this case, it is very hard, right? Yeah, and they are not going for CT scan. So that is the big issue. And obviously the medical facilities here in India, there are some certain concerns are there. So would not like to comment on that, but yeah.
Thank you, Sachin. Nice
Yeah.
presentation.
Yes.
We'll connect you.
Yeah.
We'll write an email to you.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Very nice presentation, Sachin. I will drop your mail. My name is Ajit.
Okay, sure, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Should I stop?
Yeah, I think.
Should I? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Thank
Can
you,
you
everyone.
can you send us the recording?
Oh,
I
yeah,
think.
sir, one more thing. Can we get the PPTs of her?
Let me ask my college actually, my institute.
No.
Oh, okay, you're fine.
Just send me an email. The email ID I'd shared.
Okay, fine.
Can you see the email ID?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. So you can send whatever the queries are there for some collaborations also. We are happy. You can visit our institute also. So like I will answer. I will respond to almost all the queries. Right?
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.